Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today we're going to paint a really gorgeous spring day painting of a cute little butterfly moth
Oh,
standing on Clover. To help me do that is my husband John.
hey,
Hey,
your mic is, whoop, I think it's not working there.
it's not on.
It's not.
We
Let's
went
try
all
to.
the way through that and the mic's not on.
Yeah, well, welcome guys. For some reason, Cinnamon's mic has just killed on us on right here on the live. So welcome. This is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and she's going to be here today to talk to you about painting. And I'm going to figure out why her mic just went straight dead on me. I have a little sneaking suspicion that I do know. Aha, I do. And so what happened is her mic actually got unplugged from the switcher here just moments before the show. You know, one of those things where you go, oh, is everything okay? And everybody checks and checks and checks, and then all of a sudden it isn't working. Well, there you are.
Am I back?
You're back.
I have a voice again.
You do.
So that's John, who
Hi.
is sometimes called Stunt Hands on the show, and he helps us with these fun technological challenges that arrive during live streams. I'm Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to show you how to paint this gorgeous spring scene with a butterfly and clover in acrylic on canvas step by step. I'm going to explain the techniques. I'm going to explain every tool I'm using, every color I'm using, everything I'm doing, and I'm going to include the reason why. So this is a very beginner friendly class because we're really going to get all into the weeds about it. We're going to go over the materials. If you check the description below and you open up the more, you're going to see a link to the website. You're going to see the materials written in there. You're going to see links to other resources. So I hide a lot of extra information in that description because they give me 50,000 characters, and I feel like since they gave them to me, I might as well use them up. If you're here during the live stream, I want to say hi. I see Beth Mulligan is here and Gidget B. So it's like so good to see you guys. We've got a nice little room. Now, if you're here for the live chat and you have a question, put that all in caps. Nobody will think you're yelling. That's how we see it. And one of our many moderators may be able to help you find an answer to your question, or excitingly, you might get your question asked live on the show. This is a live painting show. I don't rehearse these before I do them. I have a reference and I just paint from that. And I don't necessarily hold myself like completely beholden to the reference. Like, we're not painting this exact photograph today, but we use these to paint our subject. So it will be this painting, but we'll be doing it as a painting. That was meandering and weird. Wasn't that weird?
What I think it is that we were thrown by a plug. There was a.
That's it. I was thrown. I was thrown by a plug, and that's
plug
why it
got
got
us.
weird. It
We got
won't be
plugged.
weird again, I promise. I mean, not that
Oh,
the
no, it
pink
will.
hair and the pink shirt isn't some kind of warning that weird is on the way.
It's definitely.
I'm always
gonna be
amazed at how many people are like, they see the pink hair and they're like, no, it's just so funny to me. Oh my goodness. I see everybody coming in the room. I like to give everyone a second to come into the room to start. Now, we're going to go over the materials. I am using a 9x12 Art Alternatives canvas. Now, here's some things I want to say about this particular canvas in classic cotton. It is a 10-ounce primed and gessoed canvas with a studio finish, which means there's a little lip on the edge so it doesn't give you that weird kind of ugly second little line. It's studio wrapped and it's on the back and it's very archival. I really like them, and for the price point, I think they're a very good canvas. Disclosure, yeah, I sell them in my store, but I was painting with them before I had a store. I do really, really like them, and I do choose them a lot. Now, I have a cute little doodle that I'm going to paint away on here that says, let's paint, so that we have a happy beginning to our painting today, because art should be happy, right? That's the general goal. On my palette is Cad Red Medium. Now, listen, if you're a beginner or you have pets or all that, I recommend doing hue on this because it's going to really drop down the cost of your paint, and there's no need for you to be painting with the most expensive paint like on the tube. Quinacridone Magenta, Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo Blue. I've got a little bit of Phthalo Green and Cad Yellow here and Titanium White. We're going to use that for the background later. Up here, I've got a small amount of Dioxazine Purple, Mars Black, Burnt Sienna, a more phthalo green, and cadmium yellow medium, which again, if you want to save some money by using a hue, that does that. Now, if you're painting in an economy paint, like a student paint, or it's an entry level paint, it already is a hue, because you'll know when you're painting with real cadmium, because the cost of the tube of paint sometimes doubles. And I'll just say, for what we're doing, it's not important to have that specific thing. I just happen to have it in my studio because that's what I always have, but I'm just letting you know. Sometimes I'll let you know where you can save money. In the center, I have some titanium white, and I also will be using some satin glazing liquid today. Specifically, this brand, this product. Other brands, other products are not this. So I'll be like, oh, it doesn't matter what brand you use or whatever. But when it does, I'll tell you. And this is one of those few places it does. It works with craft paint. It works with any acrylic paint. Slows the drying time down, improves the blendability, and it lets you glaze. I like it a lot. We're going to break this down into steps, and we will timestamp those later so you can find your chapter and find your spot again. I'm not going to be breaking down this painting in today's. I feel like I can complete this in a sitting because I'm feeling a little more like myself lately. I'm feeling a little bit like me.
Yeah.
It's amazing how getting your thyroid back on track is super helpful to consciousness and being able to do things like paint. It's been a journey. So I'm excited to be back to me. You want to throw up step 1, where we're going to have some fun. And I'm going to paint out my cute little doodle. Now I've got an artist knife here just because it makes easy mixing. And I'm going to take a little bit of my green over to my yellow. And I'm going to mix up a very light spring green that I like, and then I'm going to get some white into it. And this is just going to be an acrylic ground that I paint the whole canvas with. I do this because I don't want to start with white.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I want to start with a color, and so that's why I'm mixing this ahead of time. So it's just a nice spring middle range of the colors that I'm going to be using on this canvas. I'll wipe that off and put that aside, and I'm going to grab one of my blending brushes. This is a 1-inch oval mop by Princeton Select. It has synthetic filaments. They make 3 versions of this, one with black filaments, one with white, and one with the brown. You want the ones with the brown and the dark tips because that's the synthetic. And it's good to do a synthetic when you're painting with acrylic. I'm going to dip it in water and drag off the extra and go ahead and just load it on up with a little bit of paint. And I'm going to also real quick thank Heather C for the really nice super chat sticker.
Thank you, Heather.
That she just sent over. I really appreciate that. So this is just painting the whole background with a single color, and that just helps everything seem finished and complete. That's why we do that. It's called an acrylic ground. And you can choose different colors if you want to paint a background, but today I want a harmony. So I'm using the color green. That's why I picked that color.
A harmony of color.
So a lot of times I will pick a color that's maybe consistent throughout, or I might pick something that's the base of a lot of colors, or if it's a dark one, I might pick something that gives me a very dark finish. In this particular case, I'm going to pick one that's green. Now I might grab a little bit of my white paint here and just kind of add a little more white up top if I care. I don't think I really do care. It's amazing how often I don't. You can paint the sides if you want, but do paint around the edges because if you're going to frame, it needs to go around the edges enough so that the frame can hide the white. All right, that takes away most of Mr. Frog. I'm going to rinse this out.
Oh no, Mr. Frog.
I'm going to dry my brush off and put it aside for later because I may use it later. I've got several of these around all the time.
He's still peeking.
And I'm going to dry this with a hair dryer.
All right.
And when I dry this with a hair dryer, John will tell you about our fabulous art store.
Oh,
Ooh.
I
Shameless self-promotion.
think that's good.
Yeah.
So we have an art store. You should check it out. It's really cool. It sells all the art supplies you generally see here. We try to have really good prices. And if you go to theartsherpa.com and you can click on the store there and just enjoy. It's a fun place. If you're a patron, we super appreciate you shopping in our store. And it's, guys, thank you guys. So we don't know how to advertise our store yet other than we have one. And We do our best to have really, really good prices there. We have really good support. So if you have any problems with your products, you can email support@theartsherpa.com. We'll help you there. Yeah, it's a huge selection. Like, we have all of the brushes and the Fabriano pads and the Raphael brushes. And you can get abstract paint pouches. You can get Sennelier paint pouches. You can get the golden stuff. You can get, Isabey brushes. We got those there too now. All sorts of really neat stuff. So, I'm excited. And if some secret stuff, there's some cool kids products over there in the Mikador section. So, if you're interested in some kids art supplies, Mikador is pretty good. So you can check those out. And I don't know. I am really, you know what I am, Cinnamon? Bad at marketing our store.
That's a true story. That's a very true story.
I can push the buttons, but I cannot. No, I don't know. We have a store.
We have a store. Isn't that exciting?
Isn't that cool? Come visit us at our store. Oh yeah, you may want to buy something.
You don't have to.
You don't have to. But we just,
not at all.
We just forget.
We're just doing that every once in a while. Because we don't do sponsored videos on our channel. You are our sponsor.
We hope
it's you guys. Well, when you come by and you do views and you hang out and you paint with us, and that's a type of sponsorship, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true.
So I'll count it.
Yeah, I do.
It works for me. It's the one I care about is students painting with me. By the way, earlier I saw someone saying, Crafty Cat, that they were looking for a tutorial exactly on this topic.
Exactly.
So they were very excited about that. And because they had some photographs from their own garden. I think that's pretty cool. Now I'm going to use another 1-inch oval mop.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and maybe put out some glazing liquid. Some of the glazing liquid onto my palette. It looks just like the white paint.
While you're putting that out there, Bella asked, is phthalo green, yellow shade, or blue shade
blue
okay to
shade.
use? Okay.
Blue shade. If you have paint that lets you know the shade, it'll be blue shade. Other than that, in student paint, the default is generally to put the phthalo green into the blue shade. So if you're doing an economy paint, you're already in a blue shade. If you're doing a pro paint, you want to look for the blue shade and the phthalo green. The yellow is just got a lot more yellow into it and it's very vibrant. I'm going to come up into the white that I had up here and get a little bit of the green that I mixed earlier. I'm going to start to paint the upper half of my canvas in kind of a lighter color, dusting back and forth. It's okay that some of what's underneath shows through. We're doing what's called a bokeh or out of focus background. And I like doing these because it gives some real dimensionality to our painting. But the first thing that we really need to do is kind of get some value going. So the glazing medium helps keep my paint from drying too fast on me in the studio, especially if I'm running heaters and things. I'm only going to do the upper half with this light color. And then when I have a nice light value, and that's a pretty nice light value with some green in it, I might grab a little bit of my ultramarine blue and more white.
Ultramarine blue.
Ultramarine. Let's come in here and just very lightly paint in an out of focus blue area. These are sort of around this background a bit. And it's mostly green, and I can use the brush to, you can see, like, blend that in very, very softly. Because I just want it to have lots of little distant, sort of out of focus color. You know, I can come in and grab a little bit of yellow on here, and I haven't rinsed out anything. And I'll come back over to my ultramarine blue. A lot of times people don't like using ultramarine blue and cad yellow for greens. But when you realize it just doesn't make a spring green, it makes a green gold, then it can be really useful in a painting. So I'm going to bring some green gold over here to that sort of corner. Maybe work it through. I'm just taking it out of focus. Let's get a little bit more yellow on here. And add some yellow in. And you can see that we're just making an out of focus little background. That's the distant garden. And this area where everything is a little less focused is going to be the far, far away. That's how we're telling people that this area of the garden is far, far away. And I'm just lightly dusting.
Yeah.
Lightly dusting and blending on the tips of the brush. If you have a hard time with this brush, I did a video about how much water is too much water, and it really covered and troubleshot some of the issues that you might have. Put a little more yellow, blue into this and get kind of a darker green going right there. I'm going to rinse out. Now let's throw up another step, but we're not going to dry. Now the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to take a little bit of my burnt sienna into my phthalo green, and I'm going to make a dark green. And we get a little glazing medium in here. And I'm going to add a little bit of that down low. And dust a little bit of that there. Right towards the little center here. I'm just dusting in. These are out of focus little areas. Let's put in some light brush strokes that are short. See how I'm doing short little touching brush strokes that kind of imply plants, but I haven't painted any actual plants. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this green and mix some yellow into it. Blending that in. We can bring some of that up. Just to imply, you know, oh, well, this garden is a growing a wild. We're going to have a little more yellow sometimes. And so it's just sort of diffuse. Isn't that wild how that just comes in and diffuses? Just
Really is.
it just doesn't feel like it's going to be anything, and then all of a sudden it's something. Now listen, one of the things that happens is when you're very close to your own canvas, emotionally and physically, sometimes you will look and you'll go, it is all wrong, and I am all wrong, and everything I do is wrong. And I want you to take a deep breath right now if you're in that thought. And breathe that thought away. You want to be able to step back from your artwork every once in a while during the painting process, both as a metaphor and both physically. You need to see these types of techniques from the distance, because up close, they look wild and messy and they make not a lot of sense. And you've got to really realize that acrylic paintings come together in these layers. Now I'm going to wipe this. You'll see I have a towel in my lap, and I'm always controlling the water in these brushes and taking it out. I'm rinsing them out and I'm taking it out. And I'll put those to the side because sometimes I can use them later for like out of focus, sort of like little plant looking patterns. But I'm going to want to dry this so that this background is stable and won't blend into the next layers. Lindsay Michelle wants to know how many hoots. I'm thinking we're going to do this at a 2 hoot level today. I don't imagine I'm going to like throw myself into 3 hoot. And if you're brand new here, in an effort to not scare beginners, we rate paintings because all my paintings are for beginners. They're always explained in detail, step by step, which is what you do for beginning artists. But there are many types of beginners, and sometimes there's a beginner I haven't painted since grade school. That's a 1 hoot kind of level. Like those paintings are like, we just go right back to the basics. And then there's a 2 hoot beginner, which is like, I'm painted a couple of paintings now, and I'm feeling like I like painting, like it's a hobby I really, really like, but I am not ready to like fly solo at all. And then there's the 3 Hoot where you're ready for more complex color mixes, techniques, and tools, and you have more stamina in the painting. So you can sit for longer sessions and paint for longer periods of time. Because that's another thing that will impact you as a beginner is how long you can sit and paint will change greatly. For where you're at in your health, in your stage of knowing the painting, all of that. So understand if you're feeling a little fatigued, like even physically, that's actually pretty normal. Let's draw our canvas. John will being a patron and joining our new Zoom experience, or getting into the Zoom experience with us, because we're going to keep expanding our Zoom. And
So, as she was saying, we have this really cool thing that we do with all of our patrons. Thank you, patrons. We're trying to make this even better. And that's where, over the past couple weekends, I don't know, maybe it's been a little longer than that, over the past weeks, we've been getting together on the weekends. It's been on Sunday. Maybe it's been a couple months now. Gosh, think about it. Anyway, we get together and we do this live Zoom thing where we all get together in this great big room and paint together. And Cinnamon will do a little show where she records it, and then that way it's ready for the patrons afterwards. And so before and after the little recording, everybody's in the room together. We hang out, we talk. Cinnamon's in there. All of our patrons are in there. It's all the patrons who are above the $15 level in our group. So it's not all the patrons who are current members. It's all of the patrons who are part of the Zoom Club membership, which is at $15. And I forget to mention that stuff sometimes. But anyway, we have different levels of patronage that you can support us there on the website. You can go out to the artsherpa.com, click on the patronage, and you can learn all about that. And sorry, I just sort of got carried away talking about how much fun it is to just do the Zoom thing.
it is really well. It's fun like the live. It's fun like old school YouTube. It's just real authentic. I love it. And honestly, it's hard to make friends as a grown up. So it's a great, like we have people who are planning meetups to get together and paint in person. It's a great place to, I mean, it's awesome to paint with me. I'm fantastic, but I think the real magic is that you guys make friends.
All patrons get to see the replay, but only the $15 and up get to actually go to it. And it's just
that's because it's a lot of it costs us a lot of money to do.
Well,
it does.
It costs money to put it all together, but it
does to get the streaming bandwidth and to pay for the service and have the seats and everything. So we did have to set that at a level, but the classes that we do there are available for everyone on the replay because we try to like not exclude anybody ever. I want to say I'm sorry that Gidget B has to go early, and I'm glad you got to be here for live, even if it was a little bit. And Gemma for B is saying like, I gotta go into my stamina.
All right, I'll give you a new step.
And I'm gonna get one of my favorite brushes out. This is a number 8 Raphael d'Artagnan brush, and it has the shape of a filbert, this curved shape on one side, and then it's got a little bit of a round blender on another. This one is made with hog bristles, so that's the filament that's coming out, and Raphael's the maker. If you didn't have this brush, I would just recommend that you just do a plain old filbert, which is just the curve, or you could do a round that you have. Sometimes I like a brush just because it does an easy technique for me, but it doesn't mean you have to have my exact brush. And I don't want you to feel like you do, but I just also want you to know what I'm using and why I'm using it. I'm going to get it wet and then dry it off with my towel. When you're painting with hog bristles and acrylic paint, you always want to have a towel in to pull some extra moisture out because that keeps the brush from getting too soggy on you. I'm going to come in and get a little of my green and brown worked out together, my burnt sienna and my phthalo green and a titch of my cad yellow medium. And I'm kind of getting a nice little green gold. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do some like distant little grass shapes that are really out of focus. So see how I'm dry brushing, and that dry brushing helps this feel very out of focus. The cat's running upstairs. And sorry, my cats are cracking me up. They're making a lot of noise upstairs. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go see Mayhem. And I'll bring this down a little bit and maybe exaggerate it even past what my reference has because I like the color and I like the effect. So I might put like a little bit more here because I like this out of focus idea. And we'll just do a little scratching there, a little bit of distant dark. Now I might get into my darker green over here. And I'm going to do brush strokes that go back and forth like this, and then sometimes come across. And that sort of represents, oh gosh, the deep meadow that's going on here in the background. Again, it's nice to allow a reference to inform you, but when you take your own photos, when you go to websites like Paint My Photo, which is a great place to get photo references for your art, Paint My Photo. Photographers donate their photos to artists, and it's a free website. I'm not sponsored by them. I've used that service for like 10 years, and they're incredible as a resource for artists if you don't have your own reference photos and you're wanting to paint. Great place to go. After that, you can do Pixabay. It's free, or you can use a paid service site like what I have here, which is Shutterstock. And continue to like add some like dark lines. Very dry brushy though. I'm just being very dry brushy. I try to make these brush strokes as random as possible. By the way, I highly recommend if you're here today that you come by Thursday this week. I'm going to redo the first painting I ever did on YouTube more than 10 years ago. And it was like, well, I guess it's coming up in 10 years, 2014.
Oh my God.
And
Goodness.
I'm doing the littlest hoot again because that was crazy when I did that painting. And it was so wild how I did it. And sometimes people find it and do it. And I'm like, you know what? That was such a good one to do with kids.
Yeah.
And it was such a fun lesson. So I'm going to come back and redo it. And I'm going to add a little of this darker green here to some of my little grass just so that there's some little thoughts. What we like to call that hue over there. I'm going to get a lot more yellow involved. Just bring some more yellow through here. You can see it just lets the meadow start to come together. How many flowers are in the meadow? So many flowers. Maybe a little white on here. Little short marks. And I'll piece together some over here. So you just start to weave it. You're just weaving some color together. Just going to rinse out.
Like a basket underwater.
Like a basket underwater. We weave it together. Oh, hey, Amy. Sending light and love and hugs for your medical stuff tomorrow. I am sorry that is a thing you have to do. I'm sending hugs and art hugs. I'm adding a little bit of white and blue together. I'll come back in here and sort of weave through here some blue. So, by the way, something to know about me if you're very, very new here. Sometimes when I schedule out videos, I mess it up, but it's Tuesday and Thursday. So this will be this Thursday.
What's that?
The owl video.
The owl video will be this Thursday?
It will be this Thursday at noon. Anything different I will fix on the platform later.
Gotcha. If there was something.
Yeah, if it were different than that, I would fix it later. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow here. Maybe even a little bit of my white. Brush up through here some. See, just weaving it in.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's just fun to do. Let's weave this through here. A lot of what's underneath is showing. I'm using very scratchy brush strokes. A lot of my canvas is showing through. Might get the smidge of my Cad red involved. Talk a little bit about that as like a light. Rinse out thoroughly.
Excuse me, just don't inhale coffee. Whoa.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I just tried to.
Don't breathe coffee.
I just tried to breathe my coffee.
Don't breathe your coffee. I'm taking a little bit of quinacridone while John is breathing coffee. And I might add the smidge of Ultramarine blue to it, just to take it more into that magenta space. And I'm going to add some little pinks out here. Maybe a little more than on my reference because I want to imply that this is a clover field. A little pink here and there. So I go a little more. But not too much. Not too much. Because I want this background to still feel like, you know, it's out of focus and it is something that's in the distance. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my white into my ultramarine blue here. And I'm going to make sure that there's a very light blue here in the background.
Yeah.
Adding a little more yellow into that and white, just trying to make sure it stays very, very light. What I want is a very, very light background. So I'm just painting over the top of that, kind of weaving that in. See how that creates that bright light center. Bring it down through there. This is almost a scumble, which is a really kind of scratchy, random, multi-directional brush stroke. This is just creating light through here. What do the kittens do while the Art Sherpa is painting? They play with each other and go bananas. They've got tunnels and they've got climbers. Their room is very catified, and they just run around and act crazy. It's just unbelievable to watch. I love it so much. It brings me a lot of joy. I'm going to add a little bit of playing up here. I don't know if John has any new pictures of the kittens.
On me, no. But and I've been rerouting technology here a lot, so
You're like overwhelmed with everything.
no, I don't have the video connection set up so I can easily throw graphics up right now. But next show,
adding a
oh my
little
goodness, good to see everybody out there. It's so wonderful to see all the wonderful people, the Sherpettes and the Sherpazoids and the Sherpa peoples. Good to
The
see
peoples, the art peoples.
the humans.
I'm adding little touches of ducky yellow out here in little tiny brush strokes. See how these are little small brush strokes? And they create a little sense of dappled light as well. So I can just keep playing with this and it just gets better and better and better and better and better. All right. Now I do think I want to come down here and improve my down low color. My down low.
Well, man, I keep reaching up. So I moved the cameras around, so I keep reaching up and I keep grabbing the RoboCam for your camera instead of the RoboCam over your shoulder to move it down and cut the other angle. So I keep tipping your camera down.
What I'm doing here is just making sure that I've got a very light color set down low. So that I can exaggerate my clover that's going to be coming up through here.
The clover exaggerates itself.
Let's take some dark green and touch that in as well. So it's a very abstract background. So you get to kind of play with an abstract concept by painting it this way. And that's one of the things I like about being a painter is you can just be very immediate and abstract, even though we're going to do something very specific and focused in a second. Now I'm going to want to dry all of this.
Now what am I going to talk about?
So we talked about the patronage and we talked about the store. So we should talk about the importance of taking care of yourself and getting plenty of sleep and drinking water.
Okay.
And you know how important that is to our mental health and our artistic health. And I'm going to dry the canvas.
Well, see, it seems like she already talked about that. So, you know, normally I would want to goof off and talk about something else, but truth is, it's probably pretty good to make sure you guys do stand up and stretch. Guys, stretch like I do too. I don't like to do it, but like you get stuck at the desk and you're just watching the TV or not TV, you're watching the YouTubes and the monitors and things. You could always like, comment, subscribe. Those are human things that can help. Those are when you share our video, that's actually one of the best ways you can help get the word out about the Sherpa and what we do here and the hanging out and getting more peoples to come be in this cool crowd of people with us, because that's actually what I enjoy, is the hanging out and being with all you guys and seeing you. So thank you. If you haven't been part of the live, please come join us. If you're watching this on the replay, it's a lot of fun. You can, as you can see in some of these chat replays, it's just a heck of a lot of fun. And yeah, and don't forget, I jest that you do need to take care of yourself, and you just make your stretches, and you get lots of sleeps and rests and things. So I'm just.
It's important stuff. So we have learned this year.
Yes.
We have learned these things. So important. And it's important that you guys do take care of yourselves, because we can't have more fun here doing art, enjoying ourselves, if we're not doing that. Yeah. Now, I'm going to put on my vision enhancers, because I have personally found being able to see my canvas helps me quite a lot. And I'm going to paint in kind of the silhouette in dark of my clover and my butterfly, but I'm going to be using their local color. In other words, so I won't be using like black in a silhouette. I might be using a darker purple and a darker magenta and a dark green and a dark blue. And then I'll be coming in and painting like the shapes and revealing them using lighter colors. Now I'm making a traceable from this one here, and that is, if you're going to use a traceable, this is the step in which you would use that to paint in the silhouette. So you would transfer the image on the canvas. If you've never done that before, I have a video on how to do that, but I just want to show you how to freehand it in, just in case you're interested in freehanding it in. I'm going to get one of my very favorite brushes. This is a number 6 Raphael Sepia. It's just a nice pointed brush. And I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of my Quinacridone Magenta and some of my Ultramarine Blue. And I'm going to get kind of a deep mauve here. And I'm going to come right here. And I'm going to just paint out a round little blurb. I want to make it big enough so that it's pretty focal to the canvas. And I am paying attention to my brush strokes. It's a little bit kind of misshapen and looking upward. And I'll go ahead and have some little rough edges coming off here. All right, so there we have a little blurb. Blurbs are important. Enjoy your blurbs. And then I'm going to rinse out some. I'm going to take my brown and my phthalo green. Make a pretty dark color initially. And I'm going to sweep a brush stroke down to about here with the slight curve. There we go. That's not terrible. Then I'm going to bring a little stem off. It may be coming towards me. I've got a little leaf shape, so I'll paint that in. It's almost like a football. Then there's one kind of coming right here off. And I may even want to make my clover a little bigger. We'll have to see. I really want everything to focus on the butterfly. Now let's tuck a little leaf coming out over here. And perhaps a bright one that's going to be coming out over here. Now down low, I'm going to kind of counter curve and exaggerate this little grass that I have here. Just painting that in, that little guy in. They're bringing these little grass seeds. Tapping little brush strokes in to these little branched out areas. Now I'm going to exaggerate and lighten this up. I will highlight these in later. I just want to see these shapes as part of what I have here. I'm going to go ahead and grab another bunch of my magenta. Okay. And I'm going to make another rounded shape. I might have some grass parts that come up over here and work that out, but I just want to have a little bit of this in here. Brown and green again. Maybe bring a little more grass up here. that comes in front. I just go right through the magenta. I'm not even worried about it. So you can see I'm adding more than what I have because I want this to be like sort of forward and focal. I'm going to go ahead and make some dark lines that are more in focus, but are loose like the background. See how I'm doing this around? Using more brown. And this will help this feel like it's a little more forward in the overall scheme of the painting. Now I'm going to want to take my blue. I'm going to take my Ultramarine and my Phthalo Blue together, and maybe a little Dioxazine Purple. Maybe we'll call this a separate step. Like, let's dry this actually, and then do the butterfly so we don't drag paint. I think that that'll give you a better result.
Yeah, I don't want to drag the paint.
We don't want to, don't drag
Don't
paint.
drag the paint. Don't drag the paint. That's important. And yeah, just it is one of the things that drying is an important step. You know, between each layer with acrylics, if you allow the paint to fully cure, then it keeps it from doing what's called lifting or delaminating or smudging. And sometimes acrylic has a weird tendency to do what's called skinning, where just the very top surface gets dry, but the inner surface won't, and then so it'll tear off. It creates that weird thing. So just make sure you thoroughly dry it. That helps. I'll give you a new step here too.
New step. So I want a nice butterfly here that's kind of on scale with this whole width. And we're going to come across here like we're getting in for a landing. Now, interestingly enough, it's just kind of like a little tapered butterfly body at first. We'll be putting in like details and things in a minute. But this is our silhouette. I'm going to bring an upward wing, curve line. It's going to come right to behind where the head's going to be. And bow it back, and then let's just paint that down. Then right off the back here, I'm going to sliver another curve. That one will come forward. We'll reveal that in its detail.
We will reveal it in its detail.
Yeah, when we paint in the detail of the wing, that will happen. Now I'm going to come in and get just a little more blue. And this time I'll get some white into that. And I haven't really rinsed my brush, but I have changed that color. That's just so when we go to see this, we can like see that detail. That joins back in right there. So that's how we're going to get that double wing. So that's just our butterfly shape. Now you can always come in, and if you're like, you know, I want to have it more bowed, or any of those things, you can do that at this stage. All right. And come down to my magenta down here. Get a smidge of white. Kind of a first conversation about these pink flowers. Sometimes it's nice to add like yellow and stuff if your pink isn't bright enough, but I like my magenta, so I'm going to leave that alone. I'm rolling my brush. And in this kind of rounded segment, I'm going to paint just these little dots of the petals. And they'll read almost like scales. Bring some down here. And I'll grab some white. Let's get some just white. And I'll roll my brush. Sometimes I have to wipe off the extra paint. It kind of creates some shading on the flower. And touch down into the dark part, but make much smaller marks because you want it to stay dark. All right, because you're keeping the shading going. And come here, doing a similar thing. Very carefully painting around the grass. Getting a very light pink. Adding a lot of white to it. And I may want it to be dry. I don't want to make it a new step, but I'm going to hit it with the hairdryer real quick just so that the paint sits on top of the other paint.
All right. Quick dry. Like I was saying earlier, with acrylics, sometimes it really helps to have the layers working for you, and just drying as a process is something that you'll do. So it's good to have a little hairdryer handy for that.
That's good. Just painting a little bit of the light. Can always come back into my darker magenta. Just go over any of this to make sure it's as pink as I want it. But I want to keep that dark in there. Touch little bits of white into the flower. Now I'm going to take my green over to my burnt sienna and my phthalo green, and I'm going to get a bright green and my green gold. And I'm going to paint this half of the leaf with that brighter green. And I'm going to paint this upper half, that brighter green. Maybe a sliver inside. Now come down in the middle here. Sort of shade that up. Add a little white to this to exaggerate it. I'm gonna highlight some of my little grass seeds so they're just more in the sunlight. Just touching that back in. Everything up top should be fairly dry, so I can make a darker green. This is my Phthalo Blue Green and my burnt sienna, and a little cad yellow, but it's just a darker green. Add that there. Define the stem a little more. So we just want this to have a little bit of contrast against its background.
This is really pretty.
It's fun and it comes together, and I love it. It's just nice to paint a little spring day.
A little spring day.
There's little flowers outside everywhere right now.
There are. And
I'm adding a little bit of a yellow green.
Are some of my favorite flowers.
I think they're some of the best. And get a little bit of white with my green gold color, so it's very, very light. Just have nice contrast there. Paint my little leaves. All right, let's call that a step. We're going to come into our little butterfly. Our little butterfly. All right, I love this blue side of the wing, and I'm definitely going to want to be more phthalo blue. Get some white involved. I'm still using my round brush. And what you see me doing is making sure that there's water drops are not coming back to just mess with me.
I was cut here zoomed in, so I didn't see what you were doing there. I'll show them again.
Oh, so sometimes I come in and I just make sure water drops don't come off my...
Gotcha, I see it there.
I'm going to brighten the blue that's here. Make little short little brush strokes that show like that this guy's a little bit furry. Because he is a little bit furry. I leave a little bit of the dark to show through so that the fur shows is really furry. And we're going to highlight quite a lot. Kind of come forward on this little wing here. Bring that little track in. Maybe just a little bit on that wing. I'm going to wipe my brush off with my towel. Get a lot more white. Make sure that that's a little bit highlighted with the blue. Get a little bit more blue in there.
Well, I'm going to just say thank you to Julie.
Thank you, Julie. What did Julie say?
Julie supported us through our website.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Julie. Add little wing, like this little spindly legs is a tiny, tiny little line. This is definitely more. Might get into my purple a little bit. Bring some little tiny antennas forward. And then without even rinsing, we grab a little bit of black. In the eyes, a bit of a sesame seed curve forward. I'm going to rinse out. Go ahead and get a little white on my brush. Wipe it off if I need to. And I may need to put my glasses on so I can really see. I'm just going to tap along the wing a little bit of a white edge. Tap along the wing a little bit of a white edge. Tap along the forward wing. Oh, Kim says it's coffee time. I will green tea and then
Thank
coffee
you,
right after
coffee.
show. After the show.
Thank you, coffee. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, coffee, too.
We are so grateful to coffee and Kim.
And Kim for coffee.
Thank you guys so much for the support. It's really wonderful and I appreciate it. Let's bring that little line in front. I also want to add a little bit of this on the back side. And then brush it down a lot stronger. And then add some to the back of the butterfly because that's where some light is hitting. Sometimes you can add a little bit of this white to the front of the eye. These little light, they're like little tiny strokes. It's not a line, it's little tiny strokes. There we go. Just to the front of that wing. I take a little bit of my phthalo blue and my green together. Make a really bright turquoise. Add a little hint of turquoise to that far side. Then I kind of exaggerate it in segments. Take a little bit of my burnt sienna. A little white. I may even come over into where my cad red is and my cad yellow is to get more of a little bit of an orange going in it. A little brown to that wing. So it's a little burnt sienna, cad red medium, cad yellow medium. Get into my blue a little bit and sort of blend up from the butterfly body into the brown because it has a bit of a blue cast as it blends up. Now to do the next part, I've got to dry, and we'll call it another step because we got to get in there. Yeah, we got to get in there on another step.
And oh my goodness, thank you guys for coming and being with us today. It makes my day to see everybody out there, and thank you for the support in the channel and seeing everybody. I'm taking my chance to stretch. Everybody got to stretch. Do your stretches. Make sure that you don't get cut and just sit in the chair like we tend to do. Do your little arm stretches, elbow stretches. Deep breaths.
Self-care.
Yeah, self-care.
Now I want a detail brush. So I'm going to grab a number 3 Corel synthetic brush. It's just got a nice point. It's got a nice detail. I could do a Textura. I could do a Prince and Slick, but I'm just going to do this one. And I'm actually going to come in and do my white dots and then come back and add the dark inside. I think is the best way to really get that done. So first I'm going to make, there's a ring of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's a little kind of interesting shaped one right there. Those are dark there, so I'll need to add some light highlight into that. I love piecing in the patterning of the wing together. Okay, let's see how we're adding a little bit of the dots here and there. I'm going to come into my orange from earlier, orange and brown from earlier, and I'm going to add some white into it. paint in the segments with this light color. Forward stroke on the wing. I find the little segments with that light color. Just tap in a little bit of this light. He's just busy being beautiful.
You know who else has been busy?
Hmm.
Tavio, doing so much stuff, but it's lovely to see her again, just like it's lovely for her to join us again in chat.
That is lovely. I'm going to add a little bit. It is actually very lovely. I always love running back into you guys. I know sometimes we get busy and like pulls us away, but it's so good to see everyone in chat. I'll bring the little blue back up here. Is it fussy? Yeah, it is. But that's the fun part of it, because we're painting this. We picked him because we wanted to paint him.
Yeah, it's good to be fussy.
It's good to be fussy when you're being fussy. Grab a little bit of my just white. Sometimes I just get a little bit off on the towel, and I'm going to come here and make sure that the forward of the eye and the back of the eye has a little bit of something there. Now, I'm going to take some Cad Red. Add a little Cad Red there. Add 4 little dots of Cad Red there. Getting my black on. Just putting the tiniest dots inside our little white spots. Maybe come under here. Little black above and below the red. Come right along that top of the wing, just delicately.
So delicate.
Yeah, it's just little delicate work. Back of the legs, maybe. Little bits of the antenna. All right, let's look at it overhead. Just a nice little butterfly painting on a butterfly
Really
day.
Nice, yeah.
That's something to do.
This is a really nice Sherpa paint along day.
Just a lovely, fun little paint along day. Now I'm grabbing a little yellow and white to put into my brown mixture from earlier. Make sure that we've got some highlights there on our little grass. Maybe a little yellow to sort of talk about the sun a bit. All right, let's see how, oh, that's looking very nice. There's some nice highlighted grasses. We've got some focal clovers. And just paint little bits that are just sticking out to you. Another little touch. Might grab some white. Come along here and sort of just highlight this outer edge. Tap a little bit in the forward face of the clover. Here at this little hot spot. All right, let's look at that over here. Oh, see, that's got a nice little light exaggeration. I'm going to take white to my green and yellow mixture. And I'm going to give it a signature. And I want you guys to know, like, I was fine all day today. Feeling really good. Feeling like the old me. Which you guys are like, oh no.
That's awesome.
It's 4-hour paintings again. Probably. But just a little spring day painting. Have a little spring day fun. You can go out into your garden and find little flowers and little butterflies and take pictures. And this is how you would paint the background out of focus and make just the detail of the butterfly and the flower be your focal point of the whole painting.
Well, this is just
Kim Miller says, I harvest monarchs when I can. I feel bad for the one. Oh, wow. So you can harvest monarchs? That is really gorgeous. I love that. I didn't know you could do that. Tavia says, Sherpa doing good these days. I pray every day for you. Love you so much. So much better. Here's my mental health update. Again, I'm really starting to understand that mental health is definitely not a staircase, right? Where we just take steps up steady but slowly. It is definitely an obstacle course with switchbacks and setbacks. You know, I'm good at getting my sleep and taking care of myself and, you know, being aware of all those things that I've got to do to be in tip-top mental health. And then some weeks I let that slide a little bit because you start to feel invincible, and then your body comes up and reminds you that you're not in any way invincible. And then as they're figuring out my medication and they're making adjustments, and what is it they call when they bring it up and down?
Titrate.
Yeah. So they're doing this thing where it's up and it's down, it's up and it's down. And then you sort of like, it's sort of like that eye doctor, like, do you see this one better or this one better? This one better or this one better? This one better? But over very long courses of time. So there's been a lot of doctor's appointments. But overall, I've responded to everything super duper well.
Yeah.
There was a thing with my thyroid where they had taken me off all of my thyroid medication, and I got super hypothyroid. My face like swollen up, and I was not doing okay. But now that I'm back on my thyroid and taking it every day, I'm feeling more and more like myself every single day. John has really been trying to make sure that I get a lot of sleep.
Trying.
I can't tell you how important sleep is for this. And then the other thing is just to be really gentle with myself, because there's like a lot of pressure around work and family to just take care of everybody. And to remember that I cannot do that unless I take care of myself. Like, I've got to take care of myself if I do want to take care of my family. So that's sort of been what I've been juggling with this, though. I think my next challenge is going to be like, I feel like myself again, right? Like I feel like I could finish this and then, work on my dragon painting a little bit more and keep painting. Like, I feel like the stamina in my body and my mind that I used to have. And I'm not like maybe all the way there back in my painting, but I now the techniques are not as they used to be. Like, there was during the worst part of it, that the techniques and the skills were far, far away, and I had to reach through a fog to find them and pull them in by sheer force of will. But now they're starting to be there and a little more accessible. I remembered something I've been trying for weeks to remember.
What's that?
The Mitsubishi, my mom's.
Right, that's right.
So, like, I've been trying to tell the story of my mom's first job working in a car dealership, and how she was the first woman to work at this dealership, and I could not remember their name. And I'm describing the dealership, and my son and my husband are car fans, so they're just yelling out every car company that they can think of that fits it, and it wasn't it. And I'm just sitting there watching TV, and I look at both of them and yell Mitsubishi, and it's been such a thing that they're like, that must have been the car company your mom worked for. But I mean, but for the fact that, they had the context of the thing I was looking for. So now I'm starting to be able to recall things again and feel those things again. So I'm holding that precious. I think I'm starting to hold my mental well-being as a precious commodity in a way I haven't in the past. Like, I think I took it for granted. Or just counted on it like it was resilient, like beyond all trauma and things that could happen to it, like that some core of my mental well-being would be there no matter what. And that is not how that was at all. So it's nice to have it back, but now I'm going forward knowing, I have it back, but I have to take care of it and I have to prioritize it. So that's where I've been. I'm really excited to be behind the easel again, painting like myself. And I'm really loving the new things that we're doing. We're going to be getting back to, I'm not anti-AI per se at all in any way. I think it's a tool, and I think we should use tools ethically and morally and responsibly as we can. That said, I think there's going to be so much of it on this and every other platform. So much artificial content, so many artificially constructed personalities. And I bet some of them will be good. But my feeling with that is, because I don't know about your viewing habits, when I start to hear the AI or see the AI in a video, I'm kind of clicking away because I'm still much more interested in what another human being has to say. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does.
So we're going to be doing more of let's get back to our old school, old lifestyle,
For sure.
that this is a human being human, making human errors, but still being a human being doing this with you, and more like cool things that bring the human element in, so that as the world changes around us, we still have that touchstone of each other, and we can still check in with each other and know what's real. I think that's going to be...
What's real, man?
No, I think it's going to be knowing what's real. And because right now, you're only like, it's under, you only have to none of the platforms are like really making anybody say something is real or not real. They're just saying you should, and they're giving you the option to voluntarily do so. I think eventually it won't be voluntary, but right now it's voluntary. And I certainly see a lot of stuff that isn't, that's very synthetic. And I think that synthetic is getting so good at mimicry that I think it's going to be, it's going to be like your trusted YouTubers. Like, I'm going to be like going to DeFranco because I've watched him for 10 years. So I know DeFranco is DeFranco, I think is what it's going to be. Or, Kirksagast, or even though they're an animated thing, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that what's real is real. So I'm valuing what's real too, not just in my mental health, but in my life and in my art practice. That was a weird monologue, but you guys got the monologue at the end of the show. So there you go. Real. That's what real is.
Super real.
Too wordy. That being said, guys, the world is weird out there, but at least there's some beautiful days. So if you have a sunshiny day, go out and get some sunshine. Go out and walk in the sun and appreciate the song and bird song if you can, if your weather permitting, and just enjoy the good little things in life about being a human being, and find joy where you can. I want you to be good to yourselves. I want you to be good to each other. And I'm going to see you next Thursday for this amazing throwback where I repaint my first painting I ever did on YouTube, the littlest tube. We're going to do it step by step in the new style. We're going to do the old school in the new style. And I think that that'll be a fun new segment where we bring old hit paintings back and repaint them. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm a better teacher now. I have improved over time. Like from 10 years ago to now, I feel like I'm a much better instructor.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to bring some of those back and bring some of that old school live back, and that we're not worried about the algorithm. That said, if you like my shows, you should subscribe. I highly recommend it. Only like a video if you genuinely like it. I know the algorithm likes it, but like it if you feel like liking it, because you're a free human being and you should do what you want. And if you have a comment or you want to ask a question, you can leave it after the show, even if you weren't here during the live. I check my YouTube channel constantly. I don't get to every question, but I try to get to as many as I can. If you'd like to support us and come to see the Patreon exclusive content, because they have, exclusive lessons that I do that are weird, strange things. Like we just did a bunch of oil pastel stuff. Come by Patreon and check that out. And if you need some art supplies, come by our store. We've got some of those. We like the D-brush and the stuff I have on the show is generally there. But if you're not in the area for art supplies, remember that you've got local art stores. So, shop your local art store, check them out, because they're going to be an incredible resource for you. And I think it's important that we're face to face as human beings. Be good to yourself, be good to each other. And I will see you at an easel real soon. Bye-bye.